So I am going way back to my roots here and doing backyard wildlife after all the globe trekking I have done on this channel. Because I got an email a few weeks ago asking if I was interested in testing a smart bird feeder. And well, that sounded interesting to me, and I figured I could do something with it here on the channel, which I think will be filming a bird documentary in the tiny outdoor space of my apartment and not dense jungles or the vast swamps of Florida. Hopefully, making a video that not only acts as a review of the Birdkiss S1, but also a documentary filmed primarily by the Birdkiss S1. So some of you might remember a time when this channel was known as Backyard Expeditions, and I had these lofty goals of exploring backyard wildlife. And then I went to the jungle, and then the Backyard Expedition thing didn't work anymore. So I came up with some name that isn't searchable, but that's besides the point. So I still kind of like the idea of talking about backyard wildlife because that is how people interact with nature normally. And now there's all this technology that's getting involved in it for the regular person. And so when I got an email from the company Birdkiss about testing a smart bird feeder called the S1, I was like, you know what? I think that's interesting. Not only because I want to sort of talk about backyard wildlife, I also don't have a lot of space, and so I thought, oh, this would be an interesting way to be like, I just have a balcony, but I'm gonna invite nature into, what little outdoor space I do have. So yeah, let's, this is an unboxing video too. I gotta open it. It's in this big white box. The cool thing is this has a modular design, which is kind of neat. So I could focus it on hummingbirds or orioles or something. It's a squirrel-proof design, which is important. It's half the reason I end up I end up not feeding normally is because of the rodents. There's a whole bunch of parts. I'm excited about the modular design. I think that's really neat. Actually, this is really nice. This is the metal. Oh, I am used to I had a lot of bird feeders that were wood when I was a kid, and after 10 years they start to rot. Metal is nice. I really liked my metal feeders when I started getting into them. This is exciting. Okay. Oh, here's the feeder. I think that's kind of everything. Okay. We can take the box down. We have now unboxed the box. And there are more boxes inside it, but they have things in them. They're not just more empty boxes. Okay, so I know that's the jelly holder for, I think orioles and stuff. We've got, oh, okay. Here is the nectar feeder. It's not a very big feeder, but especially for where I am with just no space, this is great. And look at that, it's got there's a camera. Oh, this is cool. This is exciting. This is it's beautiful. This looks modern and high-techy. I don't know if, I haven't really talked much about random ideas and things that I've thought about for the channel. But yeah, I used to be Backyard Expeditions, and I kind of do miss backyard wildlife to an extent. Because that's, you can go up to the jungle and show cool things, but there's a lot of cool stuff in your yard. And that's how you're going to get, how people get invested in nature. And bird feeders are a great one because people like birds, people are either scared of ants or spiders or whatever. And so, birds typically, people can be afraid of birds, but typically people are more into oh, look at a cute bird. And I think having a bird feeder is kind of a fun little way to invite wildlife into your yard. The modular stuff just screws onto this little, yeah, there we go. If I want to feed hummingbird food, it's a whole That's cool. I'm kind of into this whole modular thing. I think that's neat. Oh, I wonder if this is a suet cage. Oh yeah, so here it opens up. Yeah, I think you get like a suet ball and you put it in there. This kind of fits into, I wanted to do this whole, there've been like a whole bunch of ideas I've had for the channel in the past, and a big one has been, although I don't have a yard right now, but one day I'd love to like get like a yard and like do a series about taking like kind of just some yard and then turning it into like a paradise for wildlife and getting it like certified as backyard habitat and all that. I think that would be a really cool process to like just shoot over a couple of years of it maturing and planting and doing all these episodes based on like backyard conservation. I think that would be cool. And I think that would be sort of, that's like one of my lofty goals. I think I always kind of want to keep a travel element, but I would really like to do a series that's a bit more backyard. That just attaches really cool. Yeah, kind of liking this. Like that just rolls down to put bird food in. You have the glass to see how full the bird food is. There's your squirrel proofing here. I think it can come off, but just to keep the squirrels out, so the birds, right, with their little beaks, they can reach in here. Squirrel can't. That's so cool. Oh, this is adorable. I think this is an adorable little bird feeder. I need to use this to install the solar panel. This is for screwing things in, but in my case, I'm going to be hanging it. This is gonna be cool. I'm excited to see this. Beautiful. I like. It's a very cute little feeder. So this is the S1 in sort of its entirety. I'm gonna have to play around with it a little bit to kind of get the adjustments I want for it just right when I hang it outside. But this is cool. So initially, birds seemed to lack interest in the feeder. Figuring it would take time, I set up a jay feeder, but to my surprise, the Steller's jays found the peanuts in minutes. These are one of my favorite North American birds, with the most beautiful deep blue feathers. As winter is approaching, these birds are caching food for later, and peanuts, rich in all kinds of great nutrients, are a welcome food for the coming cold. The jays just kept coming and going, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, grabbing a legume pod and taking the food off to hide somewhere in the pine needles. I put some peanuts in the jelly tray to see if I couldn't get a jay on the S1, but no luck. However, after a few days, a different bird species began to use the feeder, mountain chickadees. With the white stripe through their cap that looks like eyebrows, they are another favorite bird of mine, even appearing in one of my earlier birding videos, and numerous in the ponderosa forests beyond my balcony. A bit more bold, they seem to really like the S1, and I got a lot of pretty close-up shots of these little friends. A new species soon was hanging around the S1, the white-breasted nuthatch. These birds range across North America and are another great species to get on the feeder. I love them. They're so cute as they hop around and make their distinctive call among the pines. The loss of dead trees across their range is a threat, as that removes potential nesting and feeding sites. With birds using the S1, I needed to test the squirrel proofness, which Birdkiss wanted me to highlight. So I needed to move the feeder from my hard-to-access balcony to a friend's yard, where it would be vulnerable to raiding squirrels. Right away, the feeder brought birds, both familiar, like the mountain chickadee and white-breasted nuthatch, but also new birds, like the dark-eyed junco. I have actually made a full video on these birds in the past, discussing all the different color morphs of the Colorado Plateau region. Here we have a gray-headed junco. Soon, some pygmy nuthatches arrived. These are even cuter relatives of the white-breasted nuthatch. I really love these birds. I always seem to see them in at least a pair, hopping all over the trunks of trees. They are found across Western North America, but only in certain spots, which makes them a special find for this video. Also, I was able to get the whole nuthatch family on the feeder, which was just super cute. With no squirrels coming to show the squirrel proofness of the S1, I had my friend remove the squirrel guard to see if we could get them on the feeder. This better access brought in a new bird, a hairy woodpecker. These are a common North American woodpecker, ranging from the Alaskan boreal forests to the tropical cloud forests of Costa Rica and Panama. Finally, after a week of waiting, a squirrel finally showed up to steal food. An Abbott's squirrel. A squirrel with a rather limited range in the southern Rockies and the Sierra Madre Occidental, and really only found in Pinyon Pine Forest, which, in a way, makes this one of our most special feeder visitors due to their restricted range to this specific habitat where I set up the S1. I am, however, trying to test the squirrel proofness, so the metal squirrel guard needs to go back on. And then the battery died. So I have had the camera die on me a few times, despite the solar panel. I have, however, been using it on a shaded balcony and in a forest, so that is probably reducing the solar panel's usefulness to charging the camera. I want to try this feeder in full sun when possible, see if that can really keep it fully charged. That said, the battery life is still quite long. I was still getting about 2 weeks of charging before it died. So, unfortunately, I was not able to test the squirrel guard after the squirrel visited, and show the Abbott's squirrel unable to get in, but I really cannot see how they could. On the squirrel guard, while allowing some common birds access, I think it could also be restricting those with bigger or shorter beaks as the level decreases. I saw the chickadees struggling at times to gain food. Fortunately, it is removable, so if squirrels are not an issue for you, like I doubt they are on my balcony, you can always remove it and give birds better access. That is what I think is the real strength of the S1. The modular design allows for adaptability to your specific needs, which makes it ideal for almost anyone who wants to bring wild birds in a little closer. So, if you are interested, you can find the Birdkiss S1 on Amazon or their website, along with some other smart feeders, squirrel-proof feeder designs, and some pretty hummingbird feeders. I hope you enjoyed this review of a product, which is something I have never done on this channel, along with all the cute bird footage. Bye!